You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Friday, March 7th, and we've got some not breaking news, but a bit of a bombshell to talk about regarding Jed York and how he plans to change his approach with the 49ers going forward. Joining me, as always, on a Friday this offseason, Wayne Breezy. Wayne, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm good. I can't wait to kind of like dig into this and hitting the reset button. Sounds like a plan. Takes me back to my Nintendo days when I didn't want to lose a game, so I was just like, real quick, reset.
Hey, sometimes you had to do it.
Yeah,
sometimes
hard reset too.
Yeah. Yep. All right, well, let's talk about this piece. So this is a piece that came out from Mike Silver this morning on The Athletic. To me, Wayne, like we both read it separately, but what I want to share here are two quotes that I think are huge in like the grand scheme. It kind of just encapsulates everything that Mike Silver was saying in this piece. So the first one here, quote, "In past years, as he decided whether to dole out a massive signing bonus to Purdy, York might have been swayed by his coaches and GM's conviction. This time, I expect the owner and his chief negotiator, executive vice president of football operations, Parag Marathe, to be as ruthless as they deem appropriate." End quote. Man, look, we've been hearing about this for, the last week and a half or so, just the talk about, cash spending, which of course alludes to Jed York's money. This is not about the cap, right? They have money there, but this is about the money that Jed York has paid out since Kyle and Lynch have been in this regime in 2017. And, as the article points out, it's been upwards of $300 million, right? And I get it. Jed York makes a lot of money. He's a millionaire. I don't know if he's a billionaire. Is he? I don't know. I don't remember. But he has a lot of money. He certainly can afford to pay these contracts. But that doesn't mean that he wants to, especially when he's not getting a return on his investment always, right? And I think it's reaching ahead because everyone talks about the Brandon Ayuk contract, Wayne. I think that was the one that broke the camel's back a little bit. And it's only been a year since that deal has been signed, really less than a year. But that seems to be the one that they can point to, in addition to have gone, 6-11 this past season, or 6, not 6.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, math.
It's stupid. It's that stupid extra game. You know what I mean?
That one does confuse me. So yeah, having a losing season obviously is going to amplify these feelings, and that's why we're hearing so much about it now. And so this piece was kind of, I don't want to say damning, but it was quite the revelation, Wayne.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely alarming, right? It's like a wake up call. This may be Mike Silver's best piece ever, because he's reputable, but then there's times he's not, right? And so which Mike Silver are you gonna truly kind of lend and believe on? Like, is it the reputable one, or is the one that kind of just puts kind of crazy things out? Now, very close ties. He's a 49ers beat writer, so reading the article, I don't want to have mixed feelings, but I guess my thing is this, like, I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because I feel like these guys are friends, right? But when it comes to business, when people start losing money, like, that friendship thing kind of starts to go south just a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? And regardless of how close Jed and Kyle and the families and John and Parag and they all are, I think Jed is kind of like looking at his bank accounts and being like, man, I sure dishing out. Like, the accountant came in and was like, bro, you spent a lot of money. You spent a lot of cash, dog, man. I mean, you're not making a lot of this back. I'm not upset with, if Jed is saying these things. I'm not upset if he feels this kind of way. I think every businessman wants to make money. If they're investing money, the question is, how do I get a ROI, return on my investment, right? That's business 101. Like, if I'm going to invest the money, I better be making some money soon, quick, fast, in a hurry. And he's giving it time. Like, he's giving it time.
Yes.
I think, from Jed York's perspective, I totally dig where he's coming from, because I can relate. We're all business people out here who runs their own businesses, and how many times you're going to spend money before you earn a dollar. And he spent, like you said, not talking about the cap space. You're talking about his own personal money, as far as the cash that they kick out in a lot of these contracts. But I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, my question is, if you didn't want to spend it, then why'd you spend it? Like, is it because of your relationship? Because you trust? Like, this is football. Like, nothing is pinned in. It's all penciled in. Like, everything is penciled in except for when you sign your name on a contract in ink. But injuries happen, things change, COVID can hit. Like, the next thing, like, all of this stuff is so weird. Like, to where I'm just kind of figure out, like, well, why now? Like, why now? But I get it. Like, I get the reset. I understand that as far as money perspective. And we're going to probably see a different looking 49ers kind of like moving forward. And, I feel like Kyle Shanahan's ties to these players probably is what a lot of this stuff to kind of like take place. I mean, he has his guys and he wants his guys here. You look at Brandon Ayuk, and Brandon Ayuk was the kid that he put into the doghouse and literally groomed him to be who he is in that relationship. And in that 25th hour, Kyle comes a running. Don't you trade my wide receiver. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need my wide receiver. It's unfortunate that he got injured last year, but I mean, if Jed York, I just don't get it. Like, I'd be like, yo, bro, if you don't want to pay that money, then don't pay the money. Like, if you don't want this player, then you're the boss at the end of the day. Like, and then, it's not easy, but that's what it is.
There's many layers to this, right? And I agree. Like, obviously, Jed is the owner. He is the boss of the boss. So we look at Kyle, and Kyle obviously has a lot of control, and he has final say over the 53-man roster. But Jed has control and final say on who gets paid, at like who gets these extensions, these big money deals. And to this point, I think Jed has done right by his head coach, by his GM, and has trusted their judgment in terms of what they need in order to, win a Super Bowl, in order to be the most competitive team they feel they can be, right? And so with that, though, you got no ring to show for it still, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the issue.
That's what it's all come down to. And not only that, because you said, why now, right? You didn't even make the playoffs this past season. So it's like, winning heals all. We hear that all the time, but it's really so true. And I think also the Brandon Ayuk deal, like I said, was probably just like the peak, because Kyle stuck his nose in there and he said he slammed the table for his guy, a guy that was not even healthy this season. You know what I mean? Also, CMC, Trent Williams, both of those guys got paid. All of those guys were not healthy this season. So I get the frustration from Jed's standpoint. And so it's like, look, I've given you free reign and I've trusted your judgment on all of these guys. But I'm going to take some of my control back just a little bit. And I don't have to, bend over backwards to sign these guys just because you feel you need it. You're the head coach. You're this offensive genius. Adapt if you like, because I'm not paying this. I think that's kind of like the message, and maybe it's not so harsh. I do feel like there's still a positive working relationship there, because also, Wayne, in this piece, Mike Silver said Kyle's seat's not even lukewarm. All right, so there's still a positive relationship there where,
for sure,
Jed York does have trust in Kyle Shanahan, but maybe it's kind of like stay in your lane a little bit, and I'll stay in mine. But yeah, I think.
I guess, but the question is, what's the lanes, right? So Jed, you don't know football. You know money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. He knows money. And you know what? At the end of the day, it is his money. He could cry if he wants to. Like, I'm not mad. That's why I keep saying I'm not mad if Jed York is feeling some type of way because, like you said, there's nothing to show for it. I mean, you got close twice, and unfortunately, you just didn't. You didn't win. And I think that is part of the frustration. That would be the return on the investment because winning a Super Bowl means fans come out, fans spend more money, fans do this, fans do that, and then players, these owners won't have problems spending. But they do a lot of backloading and a lot of upfront cash, man, in these contracts. That's Parag. I'm trying to figure out why he mad at Kyle if Parag is the one coming up with these deals.
It's true. That's so true. Like, let's be honest. I think all sides here we could place some blame on.
For sure. Everybody. Yeah.
And Parag's the guy that takes so long on these damn contracts and like ends up folding at the end of it anyway. So yeah, there's definitely some blame for him too in this. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out.
Especially if he's the what did Mike say? That those two were gonna ring hell? What did they? That was dope. That was football operations to be ruthless. They're going to be ruthless. I feel like we're going to get the Ruthless Records version of Parag and Jed. And I like it. But if Parag is the one working out the language and the terms in these contracts, I'm sure that's him and Jed. Like, hey, man, listen, we're going to backload this money and we'll pay a bunch of cash up front. Are you comfortable spending this cash? Like, Jed can always say no.
Yes, you're right. He could have always said no, but I think like because he trusted Kyle so much, and his conviction is the word, right? Like he was swayed by their conviction.
I mean, Kyle's a good person. Kyle's a persuasive He's persuasive. Like I can tell from his personality that he can kind of get what he wants. Just by the way he talks, like, you know what I mean? Some people have the gift of gab. That's kind of like what it is. And, Kyle's going to have to figure, like you said, I don't think Kyle's on the hot seat, but Kyle's going to have to figure out how you chose the perfect word. He's going to have to figure out, and you said adapt, but not just adaptation. He also has to be able to adjust. And we saw that. That's his biggest issue, like adjusting on the fly. Player gets down injured, can't change the play calls, can't change this up. Don't trust these players to run it. Don't do this. Run the same damn play, Kyle. Just put a different motherfucker in there and see if they can do it. If they can't do it, don't do it again. Like, it's super simple, but Kyle isn't that type of guy. So Kyle does have to adapt. He does have to adjust. He does need to focus more on the play calling. I think that's why we're getting a different version of Kyle. I believe we're going to have a different version of Kyle Shanahan, a more relaxed version of Kyle Shanahan, a more offensive-minded version of Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle Shanahan made it adamant in this offseason that there was one guy he wanted to come back here and coach the defense, and he got his guy back. So now that he got his guy back, I feel like a lot of the relief that Kyle's been dealing with the past 2-3 seasons after losing DeMeco Ryans is going to be relieved from him. Like, the pressure is going to be off. He can really go back to focusing and shaping up the offense. And let's just be clear, they're making moves. I don't know if Kyle's improving any of this stuff. I don't know if he has any power to. But he's going to have to adapt. No Debo. Figure it out, Kyle.
No Debo, yeah.
No Debo. So Kyle will just draft Jalen Royals and we'll call it a day.
We'll talk more about him in a bit. But yeah, I think what you say is true. Like, and Mike Silver mentioned it, the relationships that he has with these players, almost an attachment.
Yeah.
Right. Has, I think, clouded his judgment to an extent where, maybe last offseason when it was probably the right time to move on from Debo, like they just couldn't do it then.
I don't think they found the right I didn't think they got the right offers for what they wanted from Debo. Plus, I think part of it was they really felt, and then you could correct me if I'm wrong, I think this team really felt that they were going to run it back. Like, regardless of how
they did
tired they were, and then the Ayuk injury deflated the team. And it was in week 7. Still, you got plenty of time, but it literally deflated what Kyle wanted to do on offense. And we know, like, and then think about all the stuff that happened up to that point, the trauma, Ricky Pearson being shot, the team, like, it was just a weird
They were
vibe.
deflated way before the Ayuk injury.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, it was just a weird vibe. And we were just like, we got to fix, we've overcome adversity before. Can we do it again? And we just couldn't overcome any of the adversity. Then you had players losing season personally for a lot of people from the San Francisco 49ers. And that's why I actually like, if Jed York is standing on business, I freaking love it. I do.
I do too. I think it could be a good thing. It could be a good thing. It's scary because you wonder how Kyle's going to take it. That's the part that's scary. There's egos involved with all these people. All these dudes got egos.
Oh, no one has a bigger ego than Kyle Shanahan.
Exactly.
And I think
does he have a bruised ego right now?
I think the key to this, and we don't have to agree, but I think the key to this is John Lynch. I don't think John Lynch gets enough credit. He's literally the peacemaker, the mediator between the two parties, right? And everybody's like, oh, John doesn't do that. Kyle runs the team. Nah, Kyle picks who the guys he wants. John Lynch, though, is really keeping the financial part.
He's the mediator.
He's the mediator. He's literally the mediator. He keeps everything. He keeps the checks and balances balanced.
Yep.
We wouldn't even be in this position without John Lynch. And we talk about resetting, right? John Lynch is the one that has to do the resetting. It's not Kyle. John Lynch hits the button. And then John has to go, and then they have to try to figure out things on what to do as far as resetting. Because then, you know what I like about this season, Steph? We were sitting here watching Free Agent Frenzy is about to kick off on this upcoming Monday, and we're going to see a lot of deals being made, and Niners and stuff going to pass us by. What are we sitting with, $30 million of cap space? It's going to be fun because I feel like this is a year where if Jed's putting his foot down, then I expect John Lynch to say, Kyle, let's go get these older players that have had promise in their past that just needs a different location or whatever. Let's see if we can sign them to these 1-year deals or whatever. Players like Jonathan Allen, players like Joey Bosa. I know they've been hurt. Okay, cool. So we'll have our guys. But at the end of the day, let's get some of these inexpensive players that probably are looking to win a championship. They'll bet on themselves, blah, 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 blah. They got to do some real good work in the offseason because they got a lot of holes to fill, and you're not going to fill them all in the draft.
You got to get back to getting scrappy. That's what they need to do. And so they've done it before. We'll see if they can do it again, right? We know that this offseason, this team is going to look drastically different come 2025. And shout out to Sammy here for the super chat. It says, love you both. Signing Brock does not sound like a certain thing. Ward or Sanders incoming. Love Brock, but the money scares me. So with that, I just want to, this is the last quote from that piece. Again, I encourage everyone to read it on their own. It's on The Athletic. It's worth the money, all right? But here's this one quote from Mike Silver. I'll leave you guys on with this quote. In the wake of a 6-11 season, a more significant change has taken place. Going all in is out. Coach-driven emotion is no longer a guiding principle. The 49ers are attempting to be cold, calculated, and analytical when it comes to roster decisions and organizational reset that coincides with the negotiation of a massive contract extension for quarterback Brock Purdy. End quote. So I almost feel bad for Brock because I'm like, man, you picked a he didn't even pick the time, but it's like it's unfortunate that this is the time that Brock is due a new deal, or he could negotiate a new deal, is when the 49ers are hitting the reset, because we're already starting to hear it, Wayne, like just this no guarantees.
I think this is the perfect time, though, because the Niners are going to have to come into fruition and cap purgatory at some point in life, right? And now you got a guy that you feel like you can win with. I think Jed York believes that you can win with Brock because he's seen it, right? And so it's not the Trey Lance pick, which we wasted 3 first-round picks on. It's not that. It's a guy you got in the bargain deal from the Goodwill or whatever like that, and it's working out, and now it comes time to pay. And for Brock, it does suck for Brock Purdy, but I kind of still like it because it's like, look, Brock, this is what we're trying to spend. It's like, take it or leave it. And I'm sure there's going to be negotiating on both parties. And it does suck that he can't max out. But if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm young, and I'm going to be like, you know what? Okay. And if I win you 2 to 3 championships, wait till my next contract and see what I
Yeah,
do
it's
next.
like then we could talk.
Then we could and I'm hoping that's the way his camp attacks. They don't have to attack it like that. And let me just be clear: both teams have leverage, but the Niners still have the ultimate leverage, right? Like they can just be like, "Dog, man, we're not gonna pay you right now, so you got 1 year left on the deal. Enjoy your $5.2 million guaranteed, and we'll talk next year." Which they'll probably then enter the. I do not want Brock Purdy going down the line of Kirk Cousins, and I as much as we tie Kirk Cousins to Kyle Shanahan, this will be the most Kirk Cousins-like thing we've ever seen in our life. I don't want Brock Purdy to end up at that franchise quarterback for 2 seasons and then we get rid of him. Like I just don't want it. But I like everything that's going down because it's lighting the fire under Kyle Shanahan's ass. It's lighting the fire under John Lynch's ass. This is forcing John Lynch to be right in the draft, right? This is what I'm saying.
It's true.
This is what I'm saying.
Making sure they don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the key. Listen, when you get comfortable and then doing something, you kind of don't go as hard. Like, you know what I mean? Man, yeah, I know this song like the back of my head. You know what I'm saying? And you get up there, and you know. So you this is good. This is good. And if Jed is really feeling these ways, I would love to. If we could get Jed. I wish we were out. Like, Purdy, and we were just in the area, and I'll just buy him 3 drinks, and then we'll get all the tea. Like, you know what I mean? But fortunately, we're not there with Jed.
We're not in those circles.
Not those circles. Not yet.
Not yet. We'll get there. Another super chat here from 49ers Throwback. Thank you so much. So this suggests that Kyle needs to back off and operating everything and just focus on coaching instead. I mean, last year wasn't his best either. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Definitely feel like Kyle is at his best when he could just focus on offense. And yeah, he's still going to have some admin things to take care of. He is the head coach after all. But I think when he had a really strong defensive coordinator like D'Amico, like Saleh, those seasons, he was so focused on just the offense. And we saw how that worked out. Now you got Saleh back. So yeah, I think obviously this is a good opportunity for Kyle to get back to doing what he does best. And so, yeah, like maybe this is like the perfect time for this reset because he's going to have some new faces and he needs to be entrenched into, getting these guys up to speed because this is going to be your new foundation going forward.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And I mean, you still got pillars, right? I mean, it's okay because you still got some pillars. But definitely they're going to be working to build a new foundation moving forward, which I still feel like Kyle and John, as long as they want to be, will be a part of it. Like they will be running the ship. Literally, I think the relationship between the 3 or 4, if you want to add Parag in there, I think the relationship is really tight. I really think they're really close. They're really family-oriented friends, all that good stuff. But just from a business perspective, I think Kyle's time is – first of all, let me be clear. I don't think Kyle ever focused on the business stuff. He never talks about the business stuff. That's not even his thing. He always says that they got to talk about the business stuff. But I think this was more about Kyle's just personal relationships with players and him not wanting to let go of certain guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's a growing thing, Not everybody's cut from the cloth of Bill Walsh, and I need 49er faithful to get that shit out their head. Like, not everybody understands that concept that you let a player go, 1 or 2 years before they start to decline. Like, that's a learning process. Kyle's a young coach. He'll get it. It'll come to him. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is just a growing pain, And at the end of the day, if we win a Super Bowl, none of this shit matters. Like, none of it matters. Like, at the end of the day. So the key is to win the Super Bowl. The key is to do it with, not bargain players, but players that, we can get it done with, period. Like, you know what I mean? And I think we'll get it done. I think we'll get it done. We just got to stay on the narrow focus. And I see 49ers throwback. Listen, last year, we can't fully blame it on Kyle Shanahan. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that happened last year that we weren't even expecting to happen. And it just wasn't a season where the coach could even find a way to save the team. And actually, this might work out in our favor because we have the 11th pick in the draft. We're a great team, but the 11th pick in the draft. We might have needed last year to hit. Last year might have focused and forced us to be able to hit this reset. This might be a good thing going forward.
Hey, the last time they had like a losing season and a high pick, they ended up with Nick Bosa, right? So it could be a good thing, of course, for this team. But, they have to nail this draft. Going back to Brock Purdy, though, again, talking about what's being said out in the media, we're starting to hear the same keywords in regards to Brock Purdy and his contract. The latest one was from Albert Breer. He joined the Rich Eisen show. I'm going to play what he had to say about it right here.
Purdy negotiations. Has it started with a 45? That's what our friend Lock and Fora tweeted out the other day.
Yeah,
Albert.
I think the Niners would like to keep it in the 4s, and Purdy's camp would like to have it in the 5s. I thought initially there was like a good chance. Like, do they try to do what they did with Jimmy and just speed up the whole thing and get it done in January the way they did with Garoppolo all those years ago? And they've been through this before, of course. I think that they weren't able to kind of get some traction early. Shows there is a little bit of a divide between the sides right now, and it's going to take some time to get through this. What you hope is with your quarterback that they aren't going through what they went through the last 3 off seasons in a row right now, right? Like where it was Debo in 22, it was Nick Bosa in 23. And it was Brandon Ayuk last year where those things lasted all the way like deep into training camp. They'd like to avoid that. I look, there's a disagreement in where they stand, but I think the Niners would tell you both publicly, privately that Brock Purdy is their guy. I don't think they want to go into a contract year with him. But I don't think anything is off the table right now. They've obviously got the franchise tag if they have to use it in 2026.
Again, so nothing is off the table right now. We keep hearing about the damn franchise tag, and he has 1 year left on his deal. We're gonna keep hearing these things, Wayne.
For sure.
And that is, as we know, the 49ers love to talk about their leverage openly in the media. So this is exactly what that is right now. I've gotten the sense, though, that I don't think Purdy's going to be the kind of guy that's going to match their energy. Like he might try, but I don't think he'll take it to
he might
as
do
far as Brandon Ayuk did or Debo did.
He'll probably follow down that Nick Bosa path. Just remain away, which sucks.
That one took a long time too.
That one took forever, but I'm just talking about, like, I don't think, okay, I'm going to say this, and this is my stance on it, and it could be wrong, but, when I think about, I'm going to separate the players. I'm going to just focus on the positions, right? And that this is my stance on this whole, he's a quarterback and he's needed. Those other 2 guys are wide receivers and they're not needed. They're wanted. Yeah. But they're not needed. You can win a team without those 2 guys by just adding other guys that play at that position. You need the quarterback. You don't need a quarterback. We need the quarterback. I believe Brock Purdy has proven to be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think because he has that bit of security behind him saying, like, all right, they need me. Like, I'm not, that will allow him to not say anything at all. Like, his position is needed in the NFL. You can't play a game without a quarterback. You put a running back there, but they ain't gonna work for so long, right? You got it. You need the quarterback. And so I think because of that, he doesn't have to do some of the things that some of the other positions and players in those positions have to do. And typically wide receivers are the ones that got to do everything to fight for every single dollar, whether it's going from being a diva to not. Like they just typically do because they're trying to make a stance because they know that when that draft rolls around, they are replace a motherfreaking bowl. Like, every draft, wide receivers are probably like, unless you're a rookie, they're probably like, oh, man, you know what I'm saying? We might get traded. We might be cut. We might be a cap, especially after you get your contract. We might become a cap casualty. So wide receivers kind of got to go a little extra. Now, depending on how far extra they go, that's between them and their agents. But I don't see Brock Purdy going down that line, because he just doesn't have to. I think he knows that he trusts his agent and he knows that's going to get done. I think he'll be more the quiet type of rep guy. Maybe he'll continue to show up. Maybe he won't. But if he doesn't, I'm curious to know how the fan base is going to take that, because if Brock Purdy's not in camp, and we don't even have a backup quarterback right now, but if Brock Purdy's not in camp, that will draw so much attention. The 49ers they need to imminently get this done ASAP. They can't go into camp without their quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at the same time, they're drawing a hard line already with Purdy. So it's like, it's going to get interesting. And unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be another messy offseason of negotiations. I hope it's not as messy as, last season was. Again, we won't hear the noise, I don't think, from Purdy's side at least. But we're going to continue to get these reports from the media, and these,
which will be annoying.
No, very annoying. It's the same thing over and over. No guarantees. It's going to get bad. But in any case, we'll also know when there's a shift, though. We'll know, because I think once we start hearing negative things about Purdy in these little reports,
yeah.
That's when fail the shift.
All I know is the moment he do something, that negativity better come out. I'm calling everybody out that ain't negative about Brock Purdy, as y'all was about everybody else. I will call you out on my show, not on Steph's show, but on my show, you will be called out. So get ready. Get ready. I'm just telling you.
He said, get ready. And yeah, my mistake, the last time the 49ers had a high pick, they took Trey Lance. You're right. And so maybe that's another reason why, Jed's maybe a little more
because they moved on from him.
Around.
They moved on from Trey. They were able to flip
with the third string quarterback instead.
Yeah, and that could be why Jed's pissed off. Like, wait a minute. You made me give away 3 first-round picks, and we going with this guy? All right. So, all right.
Exactly. Well, okay. Along with this conversation, right, of all these, money conversations, is how does this impact free agency? We've talked about how it could impact Purdy, but there's some guys that are available: Joey Bosa, Trey Hendrickson. I want to talk about Joey Bosa first. You mentioned the fact that maybe the 49ers look to go with cheap vets. Joey Bosa, I don't know if he's going to be a cheap vet, Wayne.
I mean, just because of the years that he's played and depending on what he's looking for. Like, he may price himself out to where he doesn't become a 49er, because he might still be looking to get a little bit of money. And don't get it twisted. There's probably going to be teams out there that's willing to pay him more than what the Niners. I think that hard line is set. The Niners are going to spend what they're going to spend, and there's a possibility they'll reach out to his camp, and here's the number, and it probably won't be much negotiating. Either Joey takes it or he doesn't. He goes to a different team. But if I'm Joey Bosa, I say to myself, hey, man, I could go to a team. I could play with my brother. I could stay in California. There's so many different things that work in the favor for Joey Bosa, and he won't necessarily have to be that prominent guy that he used to be 9 years ago when he first entered the season, earning his Defensive Player of the Year in 2016. No, he doesn't have to be that guy. All they need him to do is find a way to remain healthy and be productive and get sacks. And I think that right there is what the 49ers defense need. I'm all about finding a way to reset, restructure, reshape, remold, remodel the defense. Like, that to me is whatever Robert, and here's why I like what Kyle Shanahan did. He's not getting enough credit for putting his foot down and getting Robert Saleh. I feel like he needs more credit for that, because he didn't settle for anybody else. He went all in. It's like being at the craps table and you're all in. You know what I mean? He was all in on Robert Saleh. It's because he trusts Robert Saleh to kind of shape his defense. Like, he can allow Saleh to kind of do these things. And I just can't even imagine what Joey and Nick would be like on the same team. But like you said, he could be expensive to where, I mean, he was supposed to make, $20-25 million, I think, this past season. But they cut him because he was a cap casualty. He knows he's not going to get that this year. Maybe he plays on a 1-year deal. Maybe he gets like a good, I don't know what the vet minimum is, but maybe he'll get like a $9-10 million. I'm cool with a two-year, $10 million deal. If we offer him the deal we offer Gross Matos or Leonard Floyd, and he accepted that, man, I would jump for joy.
Okay, yeah, sure. I think it depends on what Joey Bosa wants. And yeah, we don't know what that is, right?
Correct.
Like, does he have the self-awareness to know he's not that guy anymore that's going to, get X amount of money? But you also have to look at the fact that the Chargers just a year ago had signed him to a 2-year, $40.4 million contract with
Correct.
$15 million guaranteed. That was just a year ago that he got that. So it's like, yeah, now he's cut and he's going to renegotiate a new contract, but his value to himself may not be that far from what he got a year ago. Like, what has changed? If anything, he played more games in 2024 than he did in 23.
Yeah. To total, right? What's 9 plus 5?
It's 14. So
so he played more games last season than he did in the past 2 seasons. That's why.
So that's what I'm saying. So I think in Joey's mind, he's going to be like, well, I'm actually more valuable now. I was just a cap casualty, and that's why they cut me.
Could be. I think it's where mom comes in, though. Listen, son, you take your ass up there to Northern California, you play with your brother. You hear me? I'm tired of traveling. So I think mom and dad, they have some say at this point. Plus, he's been in the league. He has no championships. And he might see that this might be the best opportunity. Like, if I was Joey and my younger brother played and I have an opportunity to win with my younger brother, I'm taking it, man. I got money. I could take
They got a
1
gross
year.
amount of money. They do.
Right. They do. They probably still spending their dad's money back when he played. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even still, yes, they're all about their money, the Bosas.
For sure.
You can't fault them for. But it may be the reason why.
But none of them have championships.
Do they care about that as much as they say?
Listen, you got to come back for everything I say, and I love it.
So we'll see. Obviously, it'd be great for the vibes. I don't know how effective he's going to be. Wayne, comparing.
If you could get 5 to 6 to 5 or plus more sacks, I'm good.
Is he going to be okay with being a backup, basically?
I think you don't.
Pass rush.
I think there's a difference between being a backup. The wording is a lot better when you say rotational.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, John, you use that word instead. Lynch, you heard it here first. Rotational.
Or what do they call situational? That's even better.
Situational. Oh,
yeah, situational. Situational.
Yeah, you got to roll. All right, but personally, if it's between Joey Bosa and Trey Hendrickson, two vastly different sides of the spectrum of where the 49ers can go in regard to their edge position, right?
It's Trey.
I mean, you gotta go with Trey.
Trey to the Bay, baby. I could bring back my Trey to the Bay t-shirts, man. Dang.
Can I just say something though?
Yeah.
We got this picture here of Trey Hendrickson in the corner. You would never imagine this guy will get down like that on the field, just the way he looks. Like, this guy looks like a punter or a kicker if you look at his face.
You ever see a fighter, Steph, that just don't look like they could whip somebody behind, and then they just go...
Those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Them the dangerous ones. And this is the kid that gets it done. Look at that smile. Like, you know what I mean? That's a Kodak smile right there, Colgate smile, and he's different when he puts on the football pads.
He's the model of consistency. Like, look at these numbers, Wayne. He's barely been hurt in his career. The last 2 seasons, he's played every game, 17 and a half sacks each of the last 2 seasons. And the pressure numbers have been pretty consistent throughout as well. So I get it. Like, he's on he has 1 year left on his deal.
25 million, 21 million, something like that.
Is it okay? I thought it was 15.8, but
maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Cap, there are probably some other things in there. But yeah, I mean, obviously the 49ers not only would have to be willing to pay that amount and sign him to an extension, which would obviously be at one of the top of the markets, if not top of the market.
After that Jed York article, man, I don't know. This is the way they gonna go now.
But look, if Jed wants to be more selective over who gets money,
okay,
I can't think of a player more deserving of getting that money than someone who's put up these stats. Model 1000%. Of consistency, healthy, I'm not seeing this as Jed being cheap. I'm seeing it as Jed being smarter. He's being more selective.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, though. You're also getting a player that's proven on the highest level of football they can do it consistently. Now, the question is, it's going to cost me some money and it's going to cost me some draft picks. So, it's going to be expensive. It's not a 1-year rental because he's looking for a contract extension. It's no different than trading for Myles Garrett, who's looking for a contract extension. Plus, he wants to win. I'm not saying these guys are out there just looking for the bread. I do believe they want to win a championship, but they're still young enough to earn max money on the years that they're still playing in football. So I need people to understand, like, because once they hit a certain age, that max money deal, those max money deals go down the drain. That's why I was talking about Joey Bosa. He's about to be 30. So he's probably going to try to max out the last time and won't be in San Francisco because we're not going to be paying him, right? Not because of his availability. Now, you're looking at a kid like this, I think it's definitely worth the investment. Like, that you'll get the return on your investment.
Yeah. And Jason in the comments says, Hendrickson low-key looks like he's related to Jed. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Maybe that'll make it easier. He'll bring him in. But, yeah, no, it's definitely not going to be simple to get a Trey Hendrickson. I think I can certainly argue the value of it and why it would be worth it, but it's not my money. So easy for me to say. As far as Myles Garrett goes, I think we know that the Browns are – They're not wanting to trade him. So the owner refused to even meet with him. So right now that's off the table. For now, it's Bosa or Hendrickson for the 49ers. No, there's going to be some other options out there. Obviously, there's other edges that are going to be hitting the free agent market.
Sure.
As far as other defensive linemen, you mentioned him earlier, Jonathan Allen of the Commanders, defensive tackle. He was in the conversations for the Debo trade, right? And ultimately they didn't include him. But obviously the 49ers are interested, and I think it makes sense. You were talking about it earlier. That could possibly come cheap. 2-time Pro Bowler and Jonathan Allen. I think that'd be a pretty good move for the Niners. We'll see what they do. But there's so many other intriguing names. Evan Ingram got released as well. Yesterday was such a busy day. I was like, is there a deadline? Day. Was there a deadline for something where all these guys are getting cut on the same day? No, it was just a good day to release guys and cap casualties, I guess. But yeah, it'll be an interesting free agency. And next week, Wayne, we're going to have a hell of a lot more to talk about. I'll tell you that. Oh,
my goodness. Like, bump the draft. Like, free agency is everything. Like, you know what I mean? Free agency is everything. And I can't wait to see how we start to shape the 49ers for the 2025 season. We got a lot of free agents on our own. We don't even know which of those guys are they're going to be looking to re-sign. Usually they kind of bring back some of those guys on those cheaper deals, like the Kevin Givens and those type of players. Will those guys return? Kevin Givens was pretty much injured all last year. I'm not sure they go that route again. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And we haven't heard anything about Dre Greenlaw, and it sounds like he's going to be testing free agency. So it's going to be interesting. The good thing is I'm watching linebackers get re-signed by their teams. Bobby Wagner back to the Commanders. Yeah, and the kid back to the Buffalo Bills. So that's two linebackers off the table.
They're all it's true, but they're all getting like more than I think 49ers would be willing to pay for Greenlaw right now, which is why ultimately I think that's why he's going to be hitting free agency and probably going to be leaving if I had to guess. But Wayne, you talk about, the 49ers need to get ready for, this next era, the draft coming up as well, right? So let's get into this week's 49K Draft Club. It's like a book club, but for the draft. So we got a couple of players this week that we want to recommend you guys watch. And Wayne, I'm going to let you start. So your recommendation this week. Okay, this week overall is centered heavily around wide receiver. And I think a lot of that has to do with, the Debo trade. All this talk about Brandon Ayuk, although I still don't think he gets traded, but we're focused on wide receivers. They showed out at the combine. One guy that you liked, Wayne, is Jalen Noel. Tell us about Jalen Noel and why you like him.
I didn't know we were going to talk about Jalen Noel. Listen, I like everything about this kid. The way he beats coverages, the way he runs routes. He plays a lot bigger than his little 5'10" frame. He has the speed. He's a 4.3 guy, as you can see. His deep post down the field is excellent. His underneath routes are excellent. You don't have to worry about a guy like fighting to get open in man coverage. You can press him. He can beat you off the line of scrimmage. You can play him in the slot. He's just an XYZ guy. And I say XYZ guy for a reason, because no one's talking about him being an ace on special teams and his ability to return. Doesn't have any returns for touchdowns, but definitely gets big plays on special teams. So he has a little wiggle to him. And he's just hella athletic, right? Like, his RAS score is damn near almost close to a 10. And so, this was a kid that we got a chance to meet. You got a chance to interview him. I talked to him after you talked to him. And he just loves football. Like, you can tell he loves football. His preparation, I talked to him about his preparation for games on Sundays, and how he might make that transition to playing on a Sunday. And I mean, it just sounds like this kid is just ready to play football on the next level. It's really cool. It's really cool, man. Like, I would always say, man, if you could get the chance to go to the Senior Bowl to meet these kids, because that's what they are. And isn't it cool how they call you like, yes, sir, no, man, yes,
they got
like, that blows my mind.
A lot of manners.
Yeah, like, it blows my mind. But his one-on-ones are just like phenomenal. He was voted wide receiver of the week by his peers. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, I like Jaden Higgins too. He's the bigger wide receiver, but Jalen Noel just checks all the boxes. And, he gives me those Emmanuel Sanders vibes. When I think about what made the 49ers offense tick, it was when we traded for Emmanuel Sanders. It allowed Debo to be better. Emmanuel Sanders the next year allowed Brandon Ayuk to come. Like, you need a receiver that just understands geometry. Like, hey, I'm going to be at this spot. Make sure the ball's at the spot when I get to the spot. Right. Like that. And I think Brock, and the timing with Brock, reuniting him with Brock would be something really, really cool. Brock was a senior when he was a freshman there, so that would be really cool. You don't have to worry about him not being able to catch, because he's got really good hands.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the video clip. Sorry, guys. For some reason, I move off the tab, it stops the video, which is kind of annoying. But so I'll try to stay on it. But I do like Jalen Noel, and like, as you said, we watched him at the Senior Bowl. He definitely showed out there. Showed out at the combine as well, showed off the speed. He's super athletic. He's smaller, right? I think that's the only knock on him. Wayne, I feel like that's a thing, though, in just this draft with receivers in general. There's a lot of those smaller, like, shiftier guys. You're not finding, like, those alpha wide receiver one types. You're finding guys who are probably going to be, like, slot guys at the next level. And Jalen Noel, one of the things that he wanted to prove at the Senior Bowl, and, he feels he did that, was that he could play outside as well. And that very well may be true. But it's not going to be like his sole spot, right? Like, primarily he's going to be working out of the slot, I would have to imagine. So that was your recommendation, Wayne, Jalen Noel, for people to check out. Mine was, so I was going back and forth. I was back and forth between Matthew Golden, who I think is awesome. I think at this point he's the most well-rounded receiver in this draft, personally. But
he's an X too, like solid.
He's an X. That's exactly so. And that's why he's going to go in the first round. I don't think the 49ers are going wide receiver in the first round. And so a receiver that I do like, and you guys are going to hate this, right? I've been talking about him, is Kyle Williams out of Washington State. And it's kind of like, I'm kind of trying to troll a little bit by mentioning him, but I do genuinely like him. So now I'm like dead serious because he's nice with the ball. Like he has the yak ability. I think he shows some route running as well. So he's not just, a guy that isn't going to be able to get open at the next level. And I think that's something we're looking for. Someone who can show that they can get open in man coverage. So him at the Senior Bowl is really where he caught my eye. I didn't know anything about him before the Senior Bowl, but if you're looking at the clips here that we're showing,
look at that whip route, man.
Yeah, man. Like he's got the ability to get open with his route running, and that's exactly what you want. These are one-on-ones, right? So yeah, it's showing his skill set here.
Yeah, Senior Bowl is where he definitely took a stock up, and a lot of guys fell too. So like, I'm not sure why he's not being talked about more. I mentioned him on my timeline probably 3 weeks ago, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can't draft him. His name is Kyle Williams." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not the same Kyle. It's not the same."
This is the one that will restore the balance, right?
Exactly. Plus, he won't wear number 10. Like that number should be burnt anyway. So at the end of the day, like this is a kid that can create separation. Everybody talks about 49ers receivers can't get open. Like even Ricky Pearsall, not a great separator, just not yet. I don't know if he will become one. Jacob Conway, not a great separator, can beat guys down the field using speed. We're talking about at the line of scrimmage, pop, plant the feet in the ground, make the move, make the cut. You just watch this kid run a whip route where he whipped twice and beat the dude on the same route twice, just in case the dude bit on the first one, beat him again. I was like, damn, like he is going to be nice depending on where he goes. He's going to be nice depending on where he goes. Yeah.
And I'm dead serious. I could legitimately see Kyle Shanahan liking him. You know, I think
just please not in the first round, Kyle. Like,
no,
just do us a favor.
Not.
No, I mean, no, we never know. Just be fair. We got to be fair. We never know.
If you get a receiver in the first round, it has to be Golden.
I don't think Golden will be Golden will be available at 11. Yeah,
you'll probably trade back and still get Golden.
I see. I don't trust the trading back processing.
I don't want them to go with the wide receiver in the first, but just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I'm just saying it can happen. So I'm prepared for it to happen. So what we need to do though, Steph, is prepare ourselves for a position we're not even thinking of. And that's what we need to do.
We always have to be prepared for a position like.
As long as it's not a kicker and a punter, I'm good. Like in the first round, I'm good.
All right, so those were our recommendations. Like I said, 2 wide receivers, Kyle Williams out of Washington State and Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. Now, as far as the recommendations you guys had for us last week, Jalen Royals out of Utah State, Isaiah Bond out of Texas, left tackle Holland Pierce out of Rutgers. You got the tackle out of Arizona, Jonah oh my God, it's like. When I don't have a camera in my face, I can say his name like no problem.
I thought it was Savanea, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I know what it is. It's just the fact that I'm here like live. That's when I can't say it.
It's all good.
It's so easy, Savanea. And then tight end Jalen Conyers. So let's talk about these guys. You mentioned Jalen Royals earlier. I know that's your guy. So
he's one of my top 5 receivers. What do you not like about this kid? Like he's 6 foot tall.
Nice.
He runs a 4.4. And I had him projected to run a 4.3, 4.4. So I know he's mad because I'm sure he feels he's a little bit faster. I think everybody's gonna look at him and yes, he's the Deebo Samuel. I'm sorry. Like he's Deebo. He's not as big as Deebo, but he is 205. So he is a bigger body wide receiver. I will say that, but he's strong. And you put the ball in this kid's hand and good luck. I posted this clip yesterday. Like watching him win that route as he got skinny and cut in. I've never seen Deebo do that. And that's not a shot at Deebo, but that's just not Deebo's game. So he has the route running ability. I think that's what kind of like makes him slightly different than what Deebo is. But the thing is, get the ball in his hands, whether it's quick, bless you, and he's going to get you positive yards and you like it. He's also a pretty damn good run blocker out there as well. And so like this can be a potential piece. I know we want Kyle. I know we see our offense shifting, but I feel like this piece is always needed. You always need a joker in your card. Like if you can get a joker in your deck, and so the thing that makes him different though is his route running ability and his ability to be able to separate. I think that's what separates him from a guy like Deebo Samuel. These receivers are coming and it's contested catches. Like he can catch. So unfortunately he got injured second half of the year last year, so his production wasn't going to be the great, but be all that like top notch. And that's probably why, Steph, we didn't see him much at the Senior Bowl, right? Because he was probably recovering from that injury and he wanted to just be there and do whatever he could. But you did get a chance to see him run at the Combine. So I like Jalen Royals. There's some receivers in this draft, man. We can pick our poison if we want. It's like variety's definitely there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Royals, I know I get people want to, call that every wide receiver who has ever taken an end around. We talked about this on Bully Ball this week. Not every receiver that's taken an end around is the next Deebo Samuel, all right?
Correct.
So Jalen Royals, I don't see as that. He's actually primarily an outside guy. and he does get a lot of targets though at or around the line of scrimmage. And I think it's because like you kind of just want to let him loose. And as you see here, like once he gets the ball, like he can get loose. He showcases the athleticism. He's elusive with the ball in his hands. I know you mentioned the contested catches. I actually do kind of question his ability to make contested catches consistently because I did see a couple of times where if he did have a defender near him on some of those like deeper balls, that sometimes he wouldn't end up with the ball, and it's kind of like, oh, like sorry, I was contested.
and you're right, and I saw that. I never said it was consistent, but just to see him win, like you rarely saw some of our receivers win those contested catches unless you're 6'3", right? Or you have the ability to jump. You got a high vertical. So I think with him, his height would hinder him on some of those deep passes. There were some short passes too where I thought that the defender got there a little quicker and he just couldn't come up with the ball or whatever like that. But, he looks really solid out there. He's a strong wide receiver. I'm not saying he'll run the ball out of the backfield, but you can get him the ball quick at the line of scrimmage. He can make a play. He's definitely an explosive guy. I feel like that's still going to be a part of what Kyle looks for. Do they have the ability to make explosive plays? I still think that's a thing.
So speaking of explosive, the other wide receiver that you had to check out, Isaiah Bond out of Texas. He also played at Alabama. The tape that I saw was from his time at Texas, so make of that what you will. So what I saw is he does have speed. He has speed you have to honor. Like, look at him right there. Like, he could take the top off of the defense.
You see that separation too? Oh, God.
So he will often run the deeper routes to either clear the field or, sometimes he actually will get the ball, right? Like we saw right there. He's shifty. He's got that short area quickness. He was the second fastest wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken, at the combine, right? So he needs to work on blocking, in my opinion. That would be the only thing that maybe wouldn't make him a Kyle Shanahan favorite.
Yeah. The blocking is an issue. I don't know about does he come off a bit cocky or confident? Like, I think that's the question you got to ask yourself. Like, how is he in the meetings? How is he in the interviews? You know what I mean? But I feel like we have a guy like this. I feel like this is who Jacob Conway is, in my opinion. A guy that could take the top off the defense. That's to me faster than let me just see what he ran in the 40. He ran a 4.39. So he ran a 4.39. So he wasn't the second fastest receiver. The fastest receiver obviously was his guy Matthew Golden. Yeah. But you had a 4.34, if I'm not mistaken, in this.
Was there? I don't know.
Yeah, from Shamar Dyke from Florida, so he was a little bit faster.
Okay.
And you had a 4.37 from Keandre Lambert-Smith as well from Auburn, and a 4.36 from Arian Smith. So, you had a 4.3. Oh, Dante Jordan. That's the other guy.
Okay,
Tennessee.
So he definitely wasn't the fastest.
But he was explosive. His, what was fast? His clock speed, the miles per hour. That was up there.
Okay.
That was up there, right?
And no, we're not trying to replace Cowing. This is our listeners, our viewers. Last week, you guys gave us these names. All right, listen, I'm just saying, you guys gave us these.
I'm not saying we're trying to replace him, but
we're just watching who you guys gave us to watch.
Kyle Shanahan may be. Jacob Conway might not be the dude. He might need somebody a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher. I don't know. Can't wait to see what Jacob Conway does this year, though. He's going to get his opportunity.
Let's shift to offensive lineman. This guy, left tackle Holland Pierce out of Rutgers. This guy is freaking huge. 6'8", 350 pounds, 37-inch arms. I actually think he had 36.
36-inch arms,
at the combine. 36 arms, 36 at the combine. His wingspan is 88. Wayne, this was your guy to watch. Tell us what you liked about him.
That he's a fucking mountain?
Literally.
You know what my term for him? You know what he is? He's a bulldozer. And sometimes bulldozers, if you guys watch Transformers growing up, you know what bulldozers do? Like, they usually win. But then there's going to be times where there's certain things that they can't do. Like, his bend isn't great, his flexibility isn't great. But overall, like in a matchup, he's going to struggle against probably the speedier edge rushers. But if your edge rusher would move, a spin move, or you're going to try to brute strength this guy, good luck. It's not happening.
No.
He's not having it. Not at 6'8", 341 pounds. And here's the thing that I love about this kid. I don't know if you knew this. This kid he was a walk-on. He was 450 pounds. And he walked on to the University of Rutgers and Jersey and worked. This is why I feel like he would be a freaking Chris Forster player, because Kyle Shanahan and Chris Forster love those work ethic, work hard, play hard type of guys. You just do. Left tackle, you're not going to put him on the right side. He's predominantly on that left tackle, left side. And you bring him in here, you draft him. Let's say you get him in round 4, round 5. Let's say he doesn't do anything to boost his draft stock. And he learns under Trent Williams. He learns the footwork. He can work on his footwork. Look, I got a list of stuff, right? Bulldozer in the run game. He's an immovable object in pass pro. You can't get past this mountain on the outside unless you got speed.
Look how big he is.
Right. But here's the thing. He has brute strength with excellent hands. Look, do you see hands right there? I got these in my notes. I'm looking to this side of my notes. But he needs to work on his anchoring, right? Mm-hmm. He struggles against quick pass rushers. He doesn't have the flexibility to be able to bend. He needs to work a little bit on his footwork. And his pad level sometimes is a little too high. And so work in progress. Not a first round, second round, third round pick. Definitely a day 3 guy. But man, you get the strongest man out here, and you bring him into this system. He can kind of work under Trent Williams, learn how to run. He didn't run at the combine, so it'll be cool to see what his speed is like. But
he's probably slow as molasses. Given
I don't know if he's slow, because he's not slow on the kicks off the offensive line.
This is I think he has probably short area quickness.
Yeah, the burst.
Yeah, he's got that burst, I think. He's a little stiff at times, right? And he's big, so that makes sense. I also noted the pad level, a little high. Like, naturally, of course, he's as tall as he is. He will win reps with his sheer size, though, and strength. Like, that's his advantage. And that advantage is not going away.
Let me ask you this.
That's something you can work with.
You ever watch Game of Thrones? Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
I have not, no.
Dang, because I had the perfect. It's like the Hound versus the Mountain. 2 brothers, both excellent fighters, but one was just pure strength. And if you knew how to fight better and you had the speed or whatever, you could beat the strength. Sometimes speed beats strength. If he could work on his speed, continue to slim down, maybe get down to like 330 or something like that, he could be a problem in the NFL. And shout out to Jason, because the Constructicon Bulldozer name was Bone Crusher. That will be my name for Holland Pierce, Bone Crusher.
Bone Crusher. I like that one. And yes, he did meet with the 49ers at the Combine. So there's some interest there, all right? And you could see why. Now, the offensive lineman I had to watch was Jonah Savanea out of Arizona. Big Jonah.
Love this kid.
So he's a right tackle, right? At least at Arizona he was. Yep. I think I've seen a lot of people say that he's probably going to be a guard at the next level. He got reps at guard at the Senior Bowl, and he looked the part, right? I think that probably does suit him best because, look, he does have quick feet. As you can see here, he does have a strong anchor, but sometimes he gets beat by the speed guys that could get around him, right? So that's the only thing that would worry me if he stayed as a tackle. There's a lot more. Jesus Christ, there's a lot more.
I'm trying to tell you, like,
there's
listen.
a lot more speed guys in the NFL than there are at the college level. So I could see him struggling a little bit more. So I think guard would probably be his best spot. You know, he could keep his dude in front of him, and he has 34-inch arms as well. So look. Or under 34-inch, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a quick puller too. So, I mean, as a guard, he could still do that. He clocked a 40 under 5 seconds. So, again, like, he has some speed. And so, yeah, I think he's solid. We'll see if – I mean, the 49ers need a guard, right? Like, so
it's kind of like what they go after, guard. Right? They go after guys that play tackle in college, and they can come in and transition to play guard. Dominic Pooney was that type of a player. That's kind of like the new way that they're going. Instead of going just traditional guard, traditional tackle, they're looking for those combination type of guys, those athletic guys, those versatile guys, you know. Because I'm going to say this, if the 49ers just happen to trade back in the first round, and they got Grazer Bell, then I would be fine.
I'd
I
say
would be I would be fine with Zabel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be perfect. You get some extra pick, get an extra top 100 pick. You get an offensive lineman. You can still address the defense later. That would be solid. But this kid is a problem. I don't think people are talking about his brute strength. That's what he does. He will maul you into the ground. If he gets his hands on you, you're going down into the ground without a holding call. Like, he just knows how to play football. But you spoke on him very well, Steph. Like, he does struggle against speed. A lot of these guys are going to struggle against speed, though. Like, a lot of them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just saw it every time.
Yeah, no. I got you.
I was like,
all right,
yeah,
it was consistent that he struggled against
exactly.
speed. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be an issue for him. But yeah, I mean, I liked him. I definitely think he's nice. Now, the last one that we're gonna watch here today is Texas Tech tight end, who doesn't get, like, I haven't seen too much about him. In fact, when I was looking up clips for this player, I couldn't find a whole lot of clips. And that is Jalen Conyers, again, out of Texas Tech. So these are clips from him at the Shrine Bowl, and you could see him showcasing his route running. So he's good at that. I think he's a really good route runner. He knows how to get open. In my opinion, he's at his best with the ball in his hands. You can see it here. He's got the tight end size in terms of weight. He's 280 pounds. He's a little like on the shorter end. He's 6'3". So he moves smooth like a receiver when he has the ball in his hands. But he can get the jump balls and contested catches as well. But when I was watching him, the one thing, I almost saw too many contested catches where I'm like, is that because he's not separating enough? Like, so I'll have to watch the all 22. For him, I couldn't even catch any all 22. I had to like go to highlights. So that's the only thing I'll say about him. But I was, as far as his 40 time too, I was a little surprised by that. It was 4.77. He looks faster to me on tape than that. So
yeah, I think it's the way they use him though, right? Like, we talk about football speed being different than that 40-yard speed.
Yeah.
And I think he clocked a 4.74, which is still, slow, but he plays faster, like you said. I mean, you could put him. There was clips where I seen him. You line him up in the slot. He's getting open. Just a big guy. He's able to get open in line. He can get open out wide. He gets open, and I think that's his ability to be able to get open. As far as the contested catches, hey,
if he can come down with them,
he catches them. Like, like, I'm not going to be mad at production. However you get it done, as long as you're producing, that's the way that I like to live with it. I'm surprised that I couldn't find the all 22 on this kid either, but I'm sure I'm going to dig because he's definitely an option. Did the 49ers meet with him?
I don't think they have.
I don't think they have either. I just the name sounds familiar, but it could be just because
people are mentioning. We're
hearing him, and he had he tested well at the combine, so don't get it twisted. He had a 9.24 RAS score, so he's hella athletic. And you see that. You see that, yeah.
All right, so we did watch the guys that you recommended to us last week. Recommend some people for this week. Here's what I want to watch this week, Wayne. I want to watch running backs and I want to watch linebackers. Like, I'm ready to dive into running backs because there's so many great ones in this class. Wayne, who is your favorite running back that you kind of want to suggest others to watch? You got to choose one.
Oh man, there's so many.
Who's your favorite?
Like, I really like the kid out of Iowa.
Yes.
Caleb, that's been my guy. I understand he didn't run fast. I don't care. You don't care about 40 time with him. His ability to set up for those run blocks and then really take off and be able to bounce to the outside and cut back to the inside. Like, I just love everything about that kid. And he's probably my number one right now. But I can't wait. I'm going to watch Bombshell Tutin's film this week.
Yeah.
I promise. I'm going to put that on.
For sure. Okay, on just a side note on Caleb Johnson, so they met with a number of running backs at the combine. As far as I know, that's the only reported formal meeting that they had with running backs was Caleb Johnson. And I do think Frank Gore likes him because they did go to an Iowa-Ohio State game this season, and Frank Gore was in attendance for that one.
Wow.
So I do think he likes Caleb Johnson quite a bit. And I think the formal meeting would suggest that as well. So definitely someone you guys should watch. I'm going to recommend a linebacker this week. I want everyone to watch Kobe King. I like Kobe King.
Penn State, baby.
To me, he's not getting talked about enough. I do think he matches what the 49ers look for in linebackers. So give him a watch. Just really aggressive, fast. And so please watch him. And then give us your recommendations for running backs, for linebackers. We'll open it up on Twitter as well for recommendations. But yeah, this was a fun show. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me for this one, and can't wait for next week. The draft club is one of my favorite segments of the week, because it's just so much fun to
just
talk
a little
about
word.
these
Everybody
prospects.
likes Cam Scatterbo. Just some stuff going on out there. He is being reportedly sued by his ex-teammate for a practice field injury. So, nothing on his part, but he about to get that bank. So here come the opportunists. That's how I look at that. Good luck, Cam.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Not just mine, but Wayne's channel as well. And as always, you guys can see who the 49ers are meeting with my draft tracker, bit.ly, 49ers Draft Tracker 2025, bit.ly/49ers Draft Tracker 2025. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review for the show. Really appreciate it. But for now, have a good rest of your Friday. Great weekend, folks. Peace.